Hello, students. Welcome back. Today, I thought to read a beautiful poem from your English literature book that is Gulmohar Language for Life for you all. Dear students, the poem I have chosen today is quite apt to the current scenario of this quarantine. As all of us are isolated at homes for betterment of our friends and countrymen, this poem will really help us out to be encouraged and determined. As you can see it on the screens, the name of the poem is After the Storm. Yes, After the Storm, written by the famous William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is a major English nature poet. He was born on 7th April 1770 in England. You can see the details, the basic details of the poet on your screens. If I talk about William Wordsworth as a poet of nature, he stands supreme. He is a worshipper of nature, nature's devotee, or you can say a high priest. His love of nature was probably truer and more tender than that of any other English poet present before him and even after his death. Nature comes to occupy in his poem a separate or independent status and is not treated in a casual or passing manner as by poets before him. You can even note it down at the present poem we are reading, After the Storm. 3 points I would like to add why we take him as a nature poet. Firstly, he conceived of nature as a living personality. He believed that there is a divine spirit pervading all the objects of nature. Secondly, Wordsworth believed that the company of nature gives joy to the human heart, and he looked upon nature as exercising a healing influence on sorrow stricken hearts. Thirdly, and above all, Wordsworth emphasized the moral influence of nature. He spiritualized nature and regarded her as a great moral teacher, as the best mother, guardian, and even as a doctor. He believed that between man and nature, he can always trust nature. According to him, human beings who grow up in the lap of nature are perfect in every respect. Wordsworth believed that we can learn more of man and of moral evil and good from nature than from all the philosophies. The poem After the Storm has been taken from the collection. So before we start, I would like to read the original lines of the poem. Read along with me. There was a roaring in the wind all night. The rain came heavily and fell in floods. But now the sun is rising calm and bright. The birds are singing in the distant woods. Over his own sweet voice, the stock dove broods. The jay makes answer as the magpie chatters, and all the air is filled with pleasant noise of waters. All things that love the sun are out of doors. The sky rejoices in the morning's birth. The grass is bright with raindrops on the moors. The hare is running races in her mirth, and with her feet she from the plashy earth raises a mist which, glittering in the sun, runs with her all the way wherever she doth run. So now we'll start with the explanation of the poem, starting with the first three lines of the first stanza. There was a roaring in the wind all night. The rain came heavily and fell in floods, but now the sun is rising calm and bright. Dear students, the poem After the Storm is written from the perspective of the poet. Like many of Wordsworth's poems, this one also takes the wildness of nature as its backdrop. You can even see it in the first line of this poem. Wordsworth, in the first three lines of the poem, tells how he is wandering during sunrise, enjoying the beauty of nature after a dreadful windy night. Also noticeable is the poem's focus on imagination that helps the reader, like us, to imagine wind with roaring sound. See, you can even read it in first line. There was a roaring in the wind all night. If we, as a listener, my dear students, imagine deeply, we can almost see the droplets of water sparkling as they are exposed to the rising sun, like in the third line. But now the sun is rising, calm and bright. You can even note down the word meanings in your notebooks from your computer, laptop, or cell phone screens. Now, in these lines, the birds are singing in the distant woods. Over his own sweet voice, the stock dove broods. The jay makes answer as the magpie chatters. Before explaining these lines, I would like to add that here in these lines, stock dove, jay, magpie, these are the names of different birds. But in this poem, the poet addresses these birds as different persons. This is the reason that he has used capital letter to identify these birds. Okay? So the birds are singing in the distant woods. Over his own sweet voice, the bird, stock dove, broods. Broods means when a bird hatches egg, that is known as broods. The jay makes answer as the magpie chatters. Here, the poet Wordsworth takes these two birds, the jay and the magpie, as two different persons and how they are chattering. The jay makes answer as the magpie talks or chatters. The poem writes about a joyful scene from nature. William Wordsworth, he watches the birds chirping and singing. The clean and fresh atmosphere with the sun shining brightly made everything around calm, soothing, and pleasant. Now, if we read ahead, the poem goes like this. And all the air is filled with pleasant noise of waters. All things that love the sun are out of doors. Here, my dear students, noise of waters means noise of different water bodies such as rivers, lakes, and streams. So here waters means different water bodies. Now here we see that the sounds of waters are also adding to the beauty of the day. The poet tells about the creatures who love the warmth of the sun, who have come out in order to feel the beauty of the day. Even though there was a heavy downpour of rain the night before, we see that the morning is bright and sweet. It is calm and also sun washed. We see how the morning differs from the night. See, the poet writes here, the sky rejoices in the morning's birth. Morning's birth means the first sunshine, the first sunrise. The grass is bright with raindrops on the moors. Moors means an infertile open grassland, means any land which cannot be cultivated. We cannot grow any plants or trees there. So even the grass is bright with raindrops. Now in the last stanza, poem goes like this. The hare is running races in her mirth, and with her feet she from the plashy earth raises a mist that glittering in the sun runs with her all the way wherever she doth run. Dear students, if you see the word here hare, you know what hare is? Hare is a fast running long eared mammal that resembles a large rabbit, typically found in grasslands. Means, in simple language, it is a rabbit which cannot be kept as pet. We cannot tame it. You can find them in zoos or in open grasslands where we cannot cultivate crops or plant trees. Okay, so if you see here in the last stanza, you can read that along with sky, grasses, and different water bodies, even the hare, means the rabbit, wild rabbit, rejoices the day. The hare plays with the soil and moves about swiftly, means moves around swiftly. It seems as if she is playing and admiring the beauty of pleasant day. If you notice here the way Wordsworth has written, he addresses her as her and she, means he's taking her as a person, a young girl who is enjoying all her play at the morning sunrise. And like we read before, that he took different kinds of birds like stock dove, magpie, J as a man, or we can say as a boy. So here in the last stanza we see that he addresses her, he takes her as a young chirpy girl, and he describes that how the hare's running feet throw up a small cloud of water drops that shines in the sunlight and follows her back at the time she runs. In the last line, we see it as runs with her all the way wherever she doth run. Doth means that means it's very simple. It's an old word for does. If you read it again, keeping does there, it will get easier for you all. Like runs with her all the way wherever she does run. Now, students, in every slide of explanation, I have put difficult word meanings so you can note it down in your notebooks and go through the explanations again. Dear students, I hope you loved the poem After the Storm written by William Wordsworth. What can we learn from this poem? Ask yourself. After every stormy night or difficulty in life, there is always a glorious morning or a time of happiness. We should make the most of every opportunity and learn to appreciate the bright and good things around us. Instead of being greedy for more and more, Always remember to smile, whether good or bad. Like I told you all before, the topic I have chosen today, after the storm, is quite apt with the present scenario of quarantine. Never get disheartened, never get boredom come across your way. Try to be always chirpy, like the birds we read about, and be cheerful. Learn, memorize, and recite the poems with your parents. Thank you.